Hi, I'm Janina, I'm part of Studio 16B, and we have made it our challenge to bring change into organizations as a capability and not just as a project. And in that context, I was talking about strategy and my understanding of strategy in the last video. And today I would like to show you how I do that in the workshops. Because what I often realize is that word strategy is quite blurry. So it's a great indicator for me when I go into the teams to understand where do they actually currently stand. Of course, before the workshops we have talks with the executives of that team or of that organization to understand where do they stand, what did they actually work on already in terms of strategy and in terms of team development, and what do they want to achieve with that workshop. When we go into the workshop and we do the introduction and the expectations for the days, then I experience different things. So you have the teams which are quite experienced, who are used to working on a strategy, but you also have teams which did not have much contact with that so far. And interestingly, that are often the teams which are working on creating the value for the organization. So the teams who build the products or who are in touch with the customers. They are doing their daily work and they are under a lot of pressure and have to do a lot of stuff, but they don't have the connection between where they are and how that pays into strategy. And that also reflects then in the expectations for the workshops. You have then stuff like, I would like to understand our strategy better. I would like to understand company strategy. We would like to work on the strategy. We would like to define our strategy. And when you hear so much about the word strategy, then sometimes it feels like everyone is using that word, but there's no clear picture behind that. What do they actually mean with that word? So everyone has maybe a different definition or explanation behind it, but there's no common understanding in the group. What do we actually want to do with this strategy thing? So it feels a bit like for them strategy is a mystery. It's something that evolves somewhere basically out of nowhere. A management team, a strategy team goes into their little corners and creates something, and out comes the strategy for the organization, but there's no connection to the team. And that's okay. But the teams who connect to the strategy can be more effective, and with that they can bring more value into the organization. So what I do then in the workshop is to look at this picture, and then we talk about how is that picture actually in that team or in that organization. And we start with the current situation. So where do we currently stand? How is our picture looking like? How are our processes? How is our working mode? How are we developing products? What strengths do we see there, and what development areas do we already define? When you talk to the people who actually do the work, they know quite well what's good and what should be improved. And they also know quite well what their customers or their users actually need and what additional value they could bring to them. The important thing here is to be honest, because we can only work with that picture if we have an honest and clear picture about the current situation. Only then can we see where the weaknesses are and where we can develop. And in the next step, we take a look at what is the future picture that the team would like to achieve. And that can also be in quite a lot of different areas. So it can also mean, how do we want to work together in future? What is our working mode in order to be successful? Where do we see changes in our products or new products evolving? Maybe technology can support our processes. And into that big picture, for sure, also the company strategy can pay into. So if there's one available, then this can be a great input factor to make that picture more round and understand where does the entire organization want to go to, and how then do we in this team contribute to that picture. This picture, when we create it in the workshops, there comes a lot of energy because people have their ideas what they would like to change, where they see the team in a few years, what they would like to try out, where they have promising ideas about the future of the product. And this creates a vibrant picture, a picture which is quite detailed and it's quite touchable, because it shouldn't be a blurry sentence, it should be something very concrete. When I get to work in the morning in 5 years and I see that things have changed, what do I see? And this is a motivating picture. It has kind of a rubber band effect. They want to get there, so they are willing to invest energy in order to get there. So we know where we are, we know where we want to be, and that means we can understand where are the gaps in that picture. So what are the points we have to focus on? In a world where we can't foresee the future concretely, we can only take small steps in order to get towards a target. The first thing then is to say, okay, what options do we have? What could be our next steps that we see? And what could be steps afterwards, but those we park in a kind of a backlog. And when we see the options, we do kind of a dot voting to say what is the most promising options we would like to focus on today. Depending on the maturity of the team, it can also be that the leader of the team gives the frame and supports to say what can be the option. But it should be a co-creation, so it should also be with the input of the team. So when we have decided for one intermediate goal that we want to take, then we position that goal and we say, okay, what is the way to get there? How do we get from where we stand now to standing there? And until here, it's quite good. So people are in their energy, they are creating the picture, they are really motivated to get there. So this energy and the motivation of this picture, it feels in your body as if you're there. So you can feel what it would be like, and it's quite motivating and rewarding. And then I ask a question, I say, what are you going to do tomorrow in order to take the first step toward that intermediate picture? And with you, I mean everyone in the room. So everyone takes a Post-it and writes down, what am I going to do tomorrow to get to here? And you can feel that the energy suddenly drops. That's usually in the workshop, it's the case. Because then you realize, whoa, it's a lot of work. How do we get there? You realize that you have all the other tasks, and how should you do another thing on top? And then the questions come. So you have, how big does it have to be? Is it something that I have already on my desk anyway? And yes, it can be something that's already on your desk. That's great, because that means you're already on the way towards here. So you're already doing the right things. You just have a better understanding about why you're doing them. But it can also be that you have ideas that you didn't touch so far because you simply didn't have the time for that. In that case, we also need to find an understanding together with the leadership team. How do we make time to work on these things as well? And those can also be experiments, just to see if it actually gets you a step closer to here. You can try your way out of your comfort zone and try it out, but if it doesn't work, then we have understood and learned and we can try out something else. And it's always the case that everyone then finds one small thing they can do. And that's great, because then the energy goes up again. You can do it. The next question is, how do we as a team develop the routine to constantly bring that into our consciousness? So to have this picture of where am I, where do I want to go, what's the way we decide for, and what is the next step to get there, and what is the task that I'm going to do tomorrow or the next week after. And these routines are very important because there's so much energy, joy, fun whatsoever in the workshop, but when you are then going back to your normal life, then this can be easily forgotten. What's working is to bring that into your team meetings, or to create really short 10-minute stand-ups every Monday morning or every Friday afternoon to briefly say, okay, what did I achieve last week? What do I want to do this week? And what is it paying into? Do I need any help or support? Because what easily happens is that you can think, I can do it next week or the week after. But then the weeks just pass by and nothing's really happening. And to have these routines in place prevent you from that trap. Doing that during a workshop, we hardly talk about strategy actually. We just talk about where do we stand, where do we want to go, what are the options we have in order to get there, and what is the next step we plan to do. And this is very touchable. Everyone can relate to that and everyone can create these pictures. So this mystical word, strategy, this untouchable thing, it suddenly becomes something very handy and it becomes something that I as a team can use. Yeah, and with that I want to say thanks a lot for your time and see you next time in one of the videos. Bye!